And welcome to the Embrace It Community Podcast. This is, I'm your host, Bracy Goodwin.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for joining in tonight. Appreciate you all joining in to another Embrace It Community Podcast. I'm your host, Bracy Goodwin. Thank y'all so much for joining in. And hope everybody had a good weekend. This has been a good week for me and a good weekend. And it's been going quite well. So I got a good topic that I'm going to talk about tonight. But when I first get started, the first thing I want to do is thank everyone for watching. And if you're not following, hey, do me a favor and follow me on my Embrace It Community Podcast page and on YouTube and my regular Facebook page too as well. You can follow me on there as well. And so that's what I try to get people to do. Just follow, chime in, talk, give us your feedback. That's the only way we want to know that I'm doing a good job or I'm not, so I invite people to do that. You can also call in for prayer if you need it. Two, if you have some prayer concerns, do that. Call in and let us know how we can pray for you. If you have some questions or concerns, chime in as that as well. Throw me a message in the chat, or you can email me at the Embrace It Community Podcast page at Embrace It Community Podcast at gmail.com, so you can reach me there as well. Okay. And as I always like to mention, as an advocate for suicide prevention, I always like to talk about the suicide prevention where, if you are finding yourself struggling with suicide prevention, do me a favor. 988 is the number to lock into your phone. Share it with somebody. You do that for me. It's 24 hours a day, 365 days out of the year. It's in English and it is in Spanish, and it's free and it's confidential. So there's the number. Lock it in. Talk to somebody. Talk it out. I'm listening to so much stuff that's going on in this world today with people losing their lives over some parking spaces, or saying thank you, or telling somebody they didn't say thank you. Man, this stuff that's been happening this year has really blown my mind, that I'm seeing, and I don't understand what the problem is. I don't get it. So listen, suicide prevention, like I said, is something that I talk about all the time. So there's the number, 988. Anger management should be another hotline where some people are dealing with some anger management problems, because there's some stuff going on in this world that people just don't know how to handle because they're so angry. Like I said, angry over a parking space, angry because somebody said something to you or didn't say something to you, don't like the way they said it to you. And the first thing they want to do is, pull out a weapon or something like that. So it's a different world that we're living in now. Also, I got up here to buy me the coffee, right? Buy me the coffee is something that you can do and scan the QR code to support the Embrace It Community Podcast page. buymeacoffee.com/embrace it. So go ahead on there and take a look at it and see what you would like to do and donate. If you do, if you don't, it's all good, but it helps the Embrace It Community Podcast stay up and running, because it gets costly. So people are coming in, and I want you to know that there's ways to help. There's ways to get help for yourself. Like I said, the Embrace It Community Podcast is the one way you can do it. And then suicide prevention, if you need help, definitely 988. Okay. So my email address, I'll throw that up there again, the Embrace It Community Podcast at gmail.com. You can utilize that to shoot me an email. Let's talk about it. All right. Let's talk about it there as well. So, anger management, how men self-sabotage when they're struggling. I'm seeing a lot of men putting out podcasts now talking about this topic: how men self-sabotage when they are struggling. And so this is a topic that I'm going to talk about. And like I said, just understand, because I'm using these topics doesn't mean, you know, anything that's going on in my personal life. I'm just sharing some stuff, being some transparent with some stuff that I've dealt with, of course, and I had to realize, and still to this day, I'm going to counseling, getting some therapy. Guess what? Because everybody could use some counseling and some therapy at any time of their life. So it's not just because something's going wrong. Everything could be going right, but you just want to make sure that you're on track. So get you some therapy, get you some counseling going. All right. So that's why. So I don't want anybody to get it misunderstood that he is, putting his business out there. I'm not putting my business out there. I'm just doing this show and helping people throughout their struggles and their journeys. But like I said, what I've been noticing is a lot of men are now talking about how we can self-sabotage ourselves and how we've been self-sabotaging ourselves without even realizing that we're doing it. And there are some things that we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to bring back my co-host here in a few minutes. Derek, man, this is a very powerful brother. Like I said, we've been friends for years. Now, we were both in Columbus, Ohio at the same time. So now, we reconnected, and I've been having him on for a couple of weeks now because, we're giving both diverse feedback on a lot of things that men struggle with. And so we were talking earlier, and he sent this song to me, and we're gonna play this song. But let me go ahead and get Derek on once again. He is, like I said, he's starting to be like, man, I'm starting to say this brother's like family to me now. And Derek, he comes in willingly, not asking for anything. He comes in willingly. Derek, come on, man. Let me get you up here, brother, man. Good to see you again, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, man. So once again, man, we doing this, man. And, I always say, well, all right, God, why? But it's a reason. It's a reason why, we connected. It's a reason why we connected back in 2013, 14, whenever it was, man. So, and who would have ever known that our past would still be connected this way, where we're helping, talking, walking through this chapter,
He would.
That's
he
it.
Would.
That's right. That's the thing, man. So that's why I said, this is why I'm glad that we are able to connect. And so the topic.
Can I pray for the show real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's pray real quick. Dear Heavenly Father, I just ask that you would just be in this message and just thank you for this opportunity that we can speak to not just men, but even women in these hot topics today, these issues. And God, that you would just be in this message and love on them and get them the resources they need. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, man, for doing that, because I needed that, man. And we normally do it before we go on the air, but I needed that. But thank you for doing that, man, because while you were praying, man, I just had to just stop and breathe. It's been something I've been talking about with people, where they need to stop and breathe, because topics, man, and things that go on in our life. You sent me this picture, man, and this song that goes with it. I want to chime it in for a minute, and let's let the lyrics play. All right. Along with what goes on in the attic room of a man's mind, and not even just a man, right? A woman. But especially as believers, it's the silent struggle that we deal with, man. And we wind up self-sabotaging ourselves when we're struggling, when we don't know how to talk. Correct?
Correct.
So let's go with it, man.
Do you ever feel alone? Like you're in a room no one knows, hidden away like storage in the attic, Dust settling on dreams, heavy and static. Like the world forgot you, and even your mirror barely caught you. You smile, but it's plastic. You laugh, but it's tragic. They say you're strong, but don't see the panic. They don't know what it's like at night, when silence screams and the pillow's tight. Eyes wide open in a pitch black war, crying to a ceiling that don't answer no more.
The enemy whispers, low and sly, you'll never matter, so I even try.
You're too much, too broken, too lost, too late. And you start to agree with that voice full of hate. And it hurts, not having your own family to lean. No arms to wrap you in places unseen. No safe place to just be weak. No voice to say, you matter, speak.
You wonder if your life is worth, if you're just wasting space on this earth. You wanna be known, not just seen, to be more than a shadow in someone else's dream.
You've got all this love to give, but nowhere for it to live. Of a parentless, partnerless child.
Then in the stillness, through the dark, comes a whisper, soft but sharp. It cuts through like a sunrise breaking in, and for the first time you feel it.
D, that song, man, that song is powerful, bro. I was just sitting here listening to the lyrics of it, man. And, you know what, when you think about men struggling, it's not just relationships, man. It's just life. What life has been throwing at a man, period, every day. And women. What about the mothers that are single mothers that are out here struggling, just trying to make ends meet? Life is now lifing people. And so the question, what is the most common mistake men or women will do when they're feeling that they're out of control, even with their family or relationships? What's the most common thing they do? What do we see a lot, man?
Anger, toxicity, that something can set them off like that. And it could be someone cut in the line in front of them, or you said, earlier, they took your spot, in the parking lot, and people just feel like they have something to prove all the time. And if they do not deal with their past trauma, which can spawn from where? Your childhood.
Childhood. Yeah. That's the thing. And we talking about, I think you and I were talking about validation.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation earlier this week about validation and what is it, with me. And I got a life coach that I talk to, and I got a counselor, and I got a therapist that I talk to. And they said the reason why the validation thing comes up at you and it frustrates you and you're trying to do and always saying, well, this is what I'm doing, this is what I got going on, this is what I do. Men do that in general. We do that in general. When we come talking to another man, we're like, oh yeah, what do you do? I do this. And what do you do? Oh, I do this. We try to validate ourselves, right? That's that thing.
Yeah.
And so my life coach said, the reason why, Bracy, that you are dealing with the validation issue, because the person that was supposed to validate you didn't, and that was your mother. And I was like, whoa, so that we're talking about going through counseling. We're talking about getting therapy, life coach, and getting to the root of that for me. And that's what I had to do to find out, because when I don't feel validated, what happens? What do we do? What's happening when we're feeling out of control in the relationship? We start to turn to anger. We start to turn to alcohol. We start to turn into another person, outside of the marriage, right?
Because we don't feel like we're worthy enough. Like we're not getting feedback. And feedback is so crucial. And like constructive criticism is a good thing, but people live in their feelings, and it's either they attack with their tongue or they attack with their feelings, and they don't come at it from the heart or from the spirit and say, this is something we can work on together.
Right. So let me ask a question, those that are listening, and we're going to talk about this. All right. When a man doesn't feel validated by his partner, he often what? What does he often do? Because I had a conversation with somebody about that. Just because of this holiday that everyone was chiming into and spending so much money. That's another thing. I'm not going to talk about it. But just the validation, because, they didn't get validated on this holiday just by he's taking his money, buying the flowers and the cards. And all he was waiting for was an acknowledgement, but never got it. And I said, so how did that make you feel, man? How does that make you feel when that happens, man? And how do you handle that? And he didn't know. He didn't have an answer for that. So when the man doesn't feel validated by his partner, he often what?
Self-sabotages. He implodes, and he will attack and be degrading, and because he doesn't feel love from his partner.
Not feeling it from his partner, and then he normally gets it from somebody else. And there's the problem. There's the marriage. There's what's going on in the marriage, because he's not getting it from where he's supposed to get it from. He's going to try to get it from somewhere else. So if you can give men one warning about how insecurity shows up and destroys relationship, what would that be? What's the warning sign? What can we give them? What would be a warning sign, man?
When they're not talking, when they're not seeking counsel, that to me, like they're you can see they're agitated at just something small that sets them off. And if I have somebody that I see that I'm ministering to that is having that issue, I pull them aside and say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I pray for you? Like, is something tearing you apart? What's going on?
Right. Hey, man, chime in on this. My friend Julius Allen is watching. And man, let me know if you want to come on, man. We'll get you on the show too. We'll talk about this, because we're talking about us, brother. So if you want to join in, let me know. I'm just saying. But yes, the warning signs, like you say, shutting down.
Yep.
When we shut down, man, we shut down. We stop talking. Silence. We go silence. The patterns change up. You're not coming home like you used to. The same time, you're wearing different things out when you go to work, or you're coming home different times. Where were you at? I just stopped off. I was hanging out with friends, but we know it's deeper than that, So what do we do, men? What do we do, women? How do we fix this? How could our significant other or the person in our life really help us with it? Now, some people believe that they don't, that's not their job. That's not their job to fix it, because this person should be fixed before getting into a relationship. So a lot of men who don't know how to talk about this, told never let a woman see you cry, they're not going to say nothing to her, but it'll eventually come out. So now you're bringing this into a relationship. So what does that look like? What does that look like? He becomes controlling? Derek, what does that look like, man? What is it? What have we been seeing? What have we been hearing out here in these streets? What have we been seeing? What's going on?
I can see the controlling part where, you know, there's all these questions that are being asked because when they shut down, they stop communicating.
Yeah.
And they're not saying, hey, just to let you know, I'm going to be a little late because I'm going to stop by this person's house or whatever. Like, and I feel like communication today is just, it's so important. Like, if you truly love somebody, you will communicate with them and you'll tell them what's going on. And like, I'm single, I'm not married, but I view my future wife as my partner, that we support one another. Like, my gifts might not be her gifts, but her gifts might complement me, and hopefully they do, and that we can be there for each other. And like, you know, at the end of the day, we sit down, we communicate, we talk about things instead of letting them linger. Once they linger, that's when the toxicity comes in. And I think that can also span back to our Christian walk, when like Adam and Eve, you know, when they ate of the fruit, what did they do? They hid from God. He was like searching the garden and he was talking and like asking them, hey, Adam, hey, Eve, where are you? Knowing exactly where they were, but
knew where they were.
We don't know.
He was giving them the opportunity. He was giving them the opportunity to just be transparent and be honest what they did and why they were hiding. He was giving them that opportunity, man. And that's what I mean. So let me ask you, Derek, you've never been married, or, you know, do you feel comfortable being transparent? You feel comfortable being transparent about everything, you know, to that person before you get married?
I do.
And what if your transparency causes pushback? What if they love you, but they're pushing back somewhat? Well, you know, I'm not ready for this. So what I suggest you should do is, you know, work on yourself some more before we even move forward. Is that rejection for you?
I feel like that is, because if we're in a committed relationship and we are talking about marriage, then like, if I'm being open and I'm being, you know, and I've gone to therapy, I've gone through a lot of healing, but if I'm being open and telling this person things about my past, she didn't know me then. Like, my past does not dictate my future, or it doesn't define me, because that's not who I am anymore. It might have gotten me to the point where I am now, but like, if they truly love me, then they should work with me and stand by me and support me. Like, if they had a past, I might, you know, be like, okay, well, let's work on it together. Like, not just discard, because that rejection is trauma. Like, and you know, and that stands back to like us being kids. We might feel rejected and not be uplifted. And I think for some people it can be your mom, but my mom is my number one cheerleader. She always has been. She loves the heck out of me. But growing up, like, my father and I just didn't see eye to eye, and that really hurt me for a long time. And our relationship was strenuous until my early mid-20s. And we were able to cry. We were able to reconcile. We prayed through it. Like, God did something miraculous in our relationship where I absolutely love my father, and we've been restored.
Right. So questions and statements are coming through, man. But like I said, it's not just men and women, but it, you know, the transparency will sometimes be used against you, and they will start to say, well, I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're this, even though you told them, I'm just talking to you because I'm trying to be transparent about some of the stuff that I've gone through and made it through and got counseling for. And they'll still say, well, no. If you're still able to talk about it, or if it sometimes comes back to your mind, or sometimes come back to you, and makes you feel a certain way, what's the problem? There's still a problem. I think we're just wired different, man. I think men are definitely wired different. And we can get counseling, we can get therapy. But if we feel that it's a part of grieving, okay, sometimes something might trigger you, and then you might start feeling a certain way about something that happened to you in your past. Anything can trigger something in your past. And it's not so much about how you were raised, but something that you may have done. And it'll just come to your mind, be like, God, I feel stupid for what I just did. I mean, what I did when I was younger.
Right.
But now what you do is you share that with the person that you want to be married to. And how do you expect them to accept you or handle you? Because I've heard this happen to people where they shared and it questioned them. Well, do you still feel for that person, or do you still, desire that person? All of this stuff, this stuff that comes back, and then we're like, well, no, I don't. I'm just having a conversation with it. Well, why are you still thinking about it? But these are the things, man. That's why I said, we're wired different.
So yes, and I agree. But to me, if they're abrasive about it, and I can understand two different ways. One where they're kind of shocked, but they're willing to work with you. And then the other one would be they're not willing to work with you. And then I would say, are you the right one then?
Are you the right
are you the right person? Because my future wife, I feel like we're supposed to be a team, not one side or the other. Yes, the man is supposed to lead the household, but the woman is supposed to support the man, and the man supports the woman and loves on them. And it to me, if this is such a big issue, then let's go to counseling together. Let's work it out together.
Yeah,
because that's support. When, to me, a team is support, not one person. There's no I in team. The person isn't doing everything. You support each other, because there's two different ways: help and support. Help is when somebody else does it for you. Support is when someone comes along you, just like Jesus in our daily life, because we sin, and he supports us and forgives us and says, I love you for who you are. But we have to ask to be forgiven. We have to ask for grace.
Yeah. So there is some, comments come through here. And thank you, Ezel. Thank you for sharing this, that you said, where is it? I think it's important that for men to first understand. Oh, it's coming in so quickly. For men to first understand the importance of communication. I want to show this. She says, I think it's important for men to first understand the importance of communication. Ezel, that's what we do. But what happens, Ezel, when the importance of communication, we communicate like we just said, but then it's now looked at, frowned upon, that you're communicating this, why you...
I do feel like there are men that don't have emotional intelligence, that they don't know how to communicate. And that can be tough on a relationship too. If you don't know how to communicate with your partner, that to me in the beginning is a red flag. And the partner should be trying to figure that out before going into a marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how the ladies are chiming in, the first rejection answer. Man, next time I'm gonna have to get Ezel on the show. My brother from up in New York City, Cleveland, he said, in my opinion, let me see if I can put this up here. He says, in my opinion, once a man and woman want something with you, they must see you for who you are, not prejudge your past. That's the part, not prejudge your past for who you are today. Real love has no pre-characterization. Perfect. Right. And like I said, but some people take Some people take it by you sharing your past is that you still struggling with it, and you're not struggling with it. I'm just sharing it with you, you know. But then when you even say that you still question some of the things that you've done in your past or why you're still reacting to it, then they're quick to say, oh, hold on a second there. Why is that still a struggle? Why is that still a struggle for you? So you have to be, and then this is what it does. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong, Derek. A lot of men
Okay.
shut down to that. They shut down.
Yes, they
They
do.
stop talking. I'm not going to
Yep.
talk about. I'm not going to talk about nothing else that I feel come to my mind or whatever I'm feeling. I'm not talking about it. I'm not going to do it. That's what happens.
And to me, a man or a partner that is having this past, that's presenting it in the beginning of not the beginning, but during the relationship, getting ready to, maybe get married or whatever. To me, they're able to open up about it. That to me is healing. If they're telling you in the beginning, then they're not hiding it from you.
They're not
If they're
hiding. No, they're not hiding.
Yes. If they
They just
hide it, they tell you later on in the relationship and in the
after you
marriage,
get
and you're
married,
like,
right?
yes,
After you get married, then they're going to talk to you about it. Then what? Rejection is also protection. Thank you, T. Yes, rejection is also protection. I agree. It can be protection, but we shouldn't feel that we need to protect ourselves from the one we're gonna marry. That's the one we feel that we can be vulnerable with. That's when we come home with the weight of the world on us. That's the one we feel that we can come home and say, "Ooh, let me tell you about my day." But then they got their own day going on, so it's so much.
yeah,
It's so much, man. But this thing, the main point, what I was trying to talk about was how can we avoid self-sabotaging our relationship? And like you said, we have to have that communication with the right person so that it's definitely understood on both parts. My brother Edwin, Mr. Green here, he said it's the quality of the person that you're with. Man, say that, bro. Say that. If she is really for you, she won't bring up your past. If that woman's really for you, I like that, brother. You said it's the quality of a woman. It's the quality of the woman. That's it, man. So that's the part that we look for. We look for those qualities. Men look for certain qualities in a woman, right?
yeah,
Can she cook?
yeah,
you know, that's one of them. Will she support you? Will she be a cheerleader? Because
yeah.
we all know we need a cheerleader. So will you get that in there? Yeah, it's this is what I'm saying. It's the quality of a woman. So that's what we look for, man. Woo, this is good stuff, man. But like I say, and okay, now what do we do? What do you do? What do you do moving forward from now? So now we talked about all this stuff, and now you have this conversation. What's the healthy way to move it? Because everybody now has their boundaries, but can we move past this healthy in the marriage or in the relationship? Can it be healthy? How can a relationship stay healthy?
And that's
Is there?
that's why I say they should go to counseling and
Yeah,
get a third person perspective or opinion on the matter. And I don't want them to be like, I'm for this person or for that person. I want the counselor to fight for the couple and try to get the other person to understand where the other person's coming from, but get them to compromise and like move past that situation. Because sometimes you'll present something and then the person feels like with the rejection or the hurt, they don't want to move forward, and
yeah,
they don't know
yeah,
how to move forward. And we have to compromise. Like that's a thing too, is that's what I view marriage as, not a contract that we can rip up. And this is why I haven't been married yet, because I haven't found the right woman. But
Yeah.
like when I find her, I have to die to myself like Christ does, and I have to compromise my things in me to compromise with her, to love on her, because what if she's the one that has the past? Like,
Right.
I need
Right.
to be able to be the man and be like, okay, how do I show her Jesus in this moment? Which is
Right.
not
How does Jesus
always
show
easy.
up in you? How does Jesus show up in
Yeah.
you when you're trying to have that conversation and you're trying to get your point or get them to understand where you come from? How does Jesus show up in you? There's a way the tone that we
Yes.
use. I think we're better listeners than. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. I think we need to
Yeah.
learn to listen. We need to learn how to listen better.
Yeah.
That's some of the things. So, in closing, let's just close this out because, man, I tell you, this thing gets okay. It gets good. So, if we had an opportunity to sit down with every man that's struggling for 5 minutes, what would you tell them, man? What would you tell them now about how to deal with this, man? What would you say to them? What?
So
You got 5 minutes.
again,
You just got 5 minutes to sit
yeah,
down with these.
I've never been married, but I've had a lot of people come to me going through divorces or having relational issues, and I've counseled them and I've tried to come from a biblical standpoint on it and love on them and be like, okay, why do you feel like you're right? And it might not be their past, but it could be a certain situation and that arose in the relationship. Like, why do you feel like you're the one that's right? What if she is the one that's right?
That
Or
part.
yes, like
That part.
maybe surrender and be like, okay, I'm sorry. I misread this situation, or I felt like I was very judgmental in this. Let me understand from your point of view.
And that's the part that men struggle with because they feel that they're losing control when a woman is
Yes.
telling them what they need to be doing or how they should do it, because sometimes they're not going to say it the right way and something's going to hit us inside. Like, what you just say? But listen to what she's saying, the listening skills that we need to do. We need to learn how to listen better. I think that's the whole thing. But
I think
sharing
so
with
too.
men like this on this podcast, man, listen, the Bearded Viking, how do they reach you, man? Let me see if I got your information up here so I can put up here. But Peter, I want people to be able to reach you.
Yeah,
How do
they
they
can
reach you?
email me at the beardedviking77@gmail.com. You
Yeah.
can find me on Facebook, which is Derek Evan Dameron. And like, if you want to talk about God, you want to talk about Jesus, you want to talk about music, I am open to that. I love my faith. That's why I'm on here with you, is to share my faith and talk about our faith together. And like, we take a message and then we apply it out in the world and love on the world and try to get people to feel loved. Because in a day like today, or a world like today, everybody feels, a lot of people feel like they're not loved.
Yeah. Then that's it. They don't feel like they're loved, and I think it's important, like what we try to do and try to remember, it's the tone of our voice, the words
Yes.
that we use,
The
right in the middle
context behind that word.
Yeah. Yeah. The context behind the word. And then sometimes, brother, we just need to stop for a minute and be like, hey, can we pray?
Exactly.
Because you are the head now. Here you are, right? You're the man. Hold on. Can we pray? Because I don't like the way I'm feeling. I don't like what I'm feeling inside. So I think we need to pray because I'm
I
getting
know we
frustrated.
went over, but this was a great topic and a message, Bracy. This was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Once again, thank you, brother. Hold on. Don't go nowhere, man. I'm going to put you back, man.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
just close.
Appreciate you.
You. Yeah, we're going to do this again. We keep this thing going. Hey, listen, thank y'all for joining in. I appreciate it. I try not to stay on too long. I just like the comments that was coming. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. And thank y'all for chiming in. Ladies, especially, y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all was flooding it up. There was so many of them. I couldn't even read them all. But it's important that we hear this from you. We need to hear this. Men need to hear this because we don't get it right. And I realize that sometimes we need to just listen. Men need to just listen to what's being said and how it's being said to us, and stop for a minute. And if you don't understand how it's being said, just ask the question, okay, what did you mean when you just said that? What did you mean? And just make sure that you can get some clarity on that. But thank y'all for watching. Listen, every week that goes by, I appreciate y'all for following. I appreciate you supporting this. You see the QR code up there. Scan that QR code. That is the, hey, buy me a coffee if you want to support. If you want to support this this thing that I'm doing here, this Embrace the Community podcast, I appreciate it if you do. Go ahead and chime into that. Or you can go to the website, buymeacoffee.com/embrace it. All right. And that's how you can support this. Remember my 988 message that I always like to put out to anybody that might be struggling in today's time and day that we're living in, because there are some things that people are just not willing to talk about. Like I'm trying to get them to talk about. Men don't like to talk. Women don't like to talk. And they're walking around with anger and frustration, so this is healthy, I think. But if you enjoy what's going on here today and you tune in every week and follow, share it with somebody to tune in as well. Buymeacoffee.com/embrace it. All right. $2 buys coffee. If you want to donate to it monthly, my cousin, thank you so much, Lillian, for a monthly subscription to it, because I don't have paid advertisement to do this, but I enjoy doing this, and it's the reason why I'm doing this. So thank y'all so much for tuning in and watching each and every week. But thank you for the support. Continue to follow, share. Let's talk about this. Post some messages in the comments, and I'll try to get the answers to you. I don't know all the answers, but if I don't know the answers, I'll get back to you. AJ Perry, thank you so much for watching. And people that chime in that are watching from everywhere. I have followers in Nairobi, Kenya. I have followers in Dominican Republic. But thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate it. We're going to be back next week, and we're going to do this again. But like I said, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your time. I'll leave the QR code for a couple of seconds here. I'm getting ready to go back here. But thank you again. Love y'all. Remember, I love you because I love myself. That's the only way I can do this, because I love myself. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to Embrace It, the community podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Follow the community podcast page on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Please like and share the podcast with your community circle.